Hi guys, this is Paul. Today I want to show you some functionality of a plugin called WPForms. So this is a plugin that allows you to create forms for your WordPress site. And there's different versions. There's a Lite version that's completely free, and then there's other versions that you can pay for. And so I've been given access to the Pro version, and so I just want to take you through how that works and how that compares to the Lite version. This is the website, wpforms.com/pricing, and it doesn't show you the Lite version, which I guess would usually show up here on the right. But the Pro version here kind of has all these extra features, even more than the Plus and the basic version. So I just want to show you the difference between the two, and I'll take you through a little demo of that right now. So I have a couple of WordPress sites ready to go. So let's look at this one. So this version here just has the WPForms Lite plugin installed already. I won't show you how to install the plugin. It's not that hard to find. It's just WPForms, search for it in the plugins and it will show up. And when you download it, you'll have the Lite version, which is the one that doesn't cost any money. And that's the one I'm going to show you now. So if you click on WPForms on the left-hand side on your dashboard, then it gives you all these menu options, but the first one will just be all forms. And I've already created a form that we're going to look at in a minute, but let's just start from scratch. So you click the big orange button here that says add new, and it's going to take you through kind of like a workflow, like a wizard. So we're going to start at the first step. So the first step's in orange, which says setup. So the first thing I do is to enter a name. So I'm going to call this the test form. And then it says select a template. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 options in the Lite version. So a simple contact form is just going to have like, name, address and things like that. But what I'll do is I'll just go for a blank form because then you can see it from scratch how it actually works. So it starts to generate it. And when the page loads, there's nothing there. There's just some placeholder graphics on the right and a big arrow that's pointing to the left saying click things over here. And in the Lite version, you get these 10 options for standard fields. You don't get access to the fancy fields. What a great name that is, or the payment fields. So you're limited to just these 10, but there is quite a lot that you can do with this. So in order to kind of get these fields into your form, you just click on it. So if I click once on single line text, wait about a second, then it's going to show up on the right. So it gives you a preview of what that's going to look like. And if you've made a mistake, just come over here and you can click on the trash icon. Yes, I do want to delete this field, and then it's gone. So let's just try that again. I'll click on single line text and it appears on my form. And then I can just click other things like let's go for a drop down, and then let's go for checkboxes. And so that's what my form is going to look like right now. But you're not just limited to what it gives you. There's different options. So if I just click on single line text, what it's done is it's jumped from one tab to the other. It's now on field options. So if I click on add fields, I'll go back to where I was. Whereas if I click on field options, it's going to show me the options because I clicked on single line text. And so you can change the label. So I can just put single, and then I can say that this is a required field. So now there's a little red star next to it. And then there's some advanced options as well. I can say I only want this to be short. So then you make it kind of small. And then you can add CSS classes as well and things like that. So you've got all these kind of options. Even though this is the Lite version, there are quite a few things you can do with it. So if I come to my checkboxes here, now again, I'm in the field options. So I can say what these are. Like I can say this is option 1. And then I can reorder that, put it down in the middle, although option 1 would probably go to the top. And you can see that in real time, it's updating on the right-hand side. Okay, so once you're happy with your form, I won't go through each of these field types, but there's 10 types in the Lite version. Once you've got your form ready, then you're going to move on to the next step. So we started at setup, where I gave it a name. We've chosen our fields, and now we go to the settings. And so in the settings, you just have different things like what does the submit button say and all that kind of stuff. And then you've got some options here. In the Lite version, you've just got a few things. You've got the notifications. So, once somebody actually fills out this form, what happens? And then confirmations, does the user get something that says, thanks for contacting us and things like that. So you've got some basic options here that you can do. And then the fourth step in my little flow here is marketing. Whoops, we need to save your progress. Yeah, that's fine. Go for it. The fourth one is marketing. So what this means is that if you want to kind of connect this to, let's say, MailChimp or something like that, so you want people to kind of fill out your form and then it gets added to your MailChimp audience list or something like that, you can do that here. Now in the Lite version, you've only got access to constant contact, and it's going to be in the Pro version and other versions that you're going to get access to MailChimp and things like that. So I'm just going to skip this because I don't want to connect it to constant contact. And then finally, payments is the final section. But again, in the in the Lite version, you don't have access to this, so you can't use it. So I've gone through my little flow. Only steps 1, 2, and 3 were really relevant to me at the moment. And so now that I'm kind of done, then in the top right-hand corner, I don't need any help. I'm fine, thank you. This kind of, if you click embed, then it shows you how to add this to a page, but I'm going to do this kind of the long way around. So I'm just going to click save because I'm done. And then it starts to spin and then it's done. So I've got my little checkbox, although it was there to start with anyway. Let's just double check. There we go. So now if I press the X, I can come out of edit mode. And what happens now is it's added a row to my little table here for my test form. And what you'll see is that on the right hand side, there's a short code. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. So if I copy that code, I'll Control C. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now go and put it on one of my pages. So in this mini site that I made, it's got just a couple of pages. Test form is the page that I want. So if I click on edit, then I go into the page, and what I can do is I can just click in here and type, press Control V, and I've typed in the short code. So now if I update the page and then I view the page, it's now going to show me my lovely new form. Now it's obviously quite basic, but it does the job. So I've got my single text I can type into. I've got a drop down, first, second, and third, and then I've got my checkboxes, and then I can hit submit. So that's how you create a form. That was really easy. It's really simple. So the Lite version, although you're limited in what you can do, you can just make really simple forms pretty quickly and easily. It's quite painless and you can get the job done. Right, so that's the Lite version. So actually, before we finish with the Lite version, I'll just jump over one more. This is the other form that I made earlier. So this is with all 10 field types. So single line text, paragraph text, drop down, multiple choice, checkboxes, numbers. Numbers are cool because it won't let you type in text. You have to type in numbers, or you can use little arrows to go up and down. Name, first and last. Email, this won't let you just type in rubbish. It's going to make you actually put in an @ symbol and things like that. And then I've got a number slider. There is a captcha that you have to set up, but I couldn't be bothered. So that's it. And then I hit submit. It'll probably give me errors all over the place. But let me just type my name. My name is Paul, and let's put designer. And then this one, let's actually make it a real, let's make it think gmail.com. Okay, and then I hit submit. Hopefully that'll allow it this time. There we go, done. So that's the Lite version. I showed you how to make a simple form, and that's all the fields that you get in the Lite version. So now let's jump across to the Pro version. So I've got 2 instances of WordPress up and running. We've just looked at the Lite version, and now I've got another version of WordPress up and running, which has the Pro version. So we'll just go through the same steps, but you'll see the other options that you get in the Pro version. So let's do this again. Let's add a new form. So I click on the big orange button that says add new, and it's the same workflow as before. We've got our little steps on the left hand side. So let's type in a form name. So we'll say test form, but this time it's the Pro version. And then you select a template. Now, do you remember before there was only 4 in the Lite version? So let's just go and have a look at that, and we'll compare it side by side. So here we go, blank form, simple contact form, newsletter sign up, and suggestion. Now in the Pro version, you get much more. So there's 11 here, and some of these are actually really fun, like blog post submission forms. This is where you want to be able to allow people to kind of come in and say, hey, I've got a post that I want to post on your site, and they can just use the form, upload their file, type in their content and things like that. So you've kind of got a lot more options just straight away. If you're creating a form, you just click on one of these templates, and they are really good. You just click on it and you're kind of up and running, and you just need to tweak it. So straight away, that's something that you'll see in the Pro site, just more templates available to you. And obviously those templates are more powerful. But what I'm going to do again is I'll click on blank form because we do want to start from scratch. So let's just click on blank form here. Let's do test form Lite again. Is that how you spell again? Yep, again. And then we'll do blank form because we want to do this side by side. Okay, so do you remember before we had these standard fields? So these are all still available to us. Nothing's changed here. But in the Pro version, I've now got the fancy fields enabled, and I've got the payment fields enabled. Whereas in the Lite version, it's only the standard fields that are available. So this is exciting. I can now try these other fields. I mean, if you were to try these before in the Lite version, you get this little box that says, hey, this is a Pro feature, upgrade. But I'm not going to upgrade because I have access to it. So let's go to the Pro version and let's have a look at some of these cool new fields. So we won't go through the Lite ones because you can do that in the Lite version in your own time. But let's have a look at some of these fancy fields. So the first one is phone. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll just go through a few so you can see. So for example, phone. Now you could kind of get away with a phone by using the Lite version if you had just used a number field, because you can't type letters into a number field. But in telephone, if you got the phone field, what you can do is actually make it into the format that is in your particular country. So let's click on phone, and then we get all those options. So here, where it says smart format or US or international format, so let's just go for US. And what you're going to see when we actually show you how this works is when you start typing in, it's kind of going to force it into the US phone format, which you can't do in the Lite version because you've kind of got no control as to what's going on. But that's one thing we can do there, which is the phone formatting, which is great. And then the other thing you'll notice is there's a new little section here called Conditionals, which doesn't exist in this particular one here. So if I click on numbers, we don't have it in the Lite version, but in the Pro version we do. So conditionals are really useful. It's the kind of thing you might see on SurveyMonkey or something like that. So if I open it up and I click on the checkbox that says enable conditional logic, what that means is, show this field if, and then you can choose a different field. If a certain field value equals this, then show this field. So you can do the conditional logic, which is great. But again, that's only available if you upgrade to the Pro version. Okay, so let's go back to add fields so we can see some others. So we've looked at phone, which is great. Another one is address, which is cool. Date and time, file upload. So all these kind of are available to us. The ones that are kind of useful to see is things like website URL. It's just a very kind of quick and simple thing, but what it does is it forces you, if you're typing in a website, that it needs to be kind of a proper URL rather than just a text string. And again, in the Lite version, you could have just done a single line text, but you can't force it to look like a website, a web URL. So it forces you into the right content. Another one which I really like is the signature. This is great. So I don't think I can actually show you in the preview how it works. Okay, we'll have a look at it in a minute. But when it comes to the signature, you can actually use your mouse to type in your to kind of draw your signature, which is great. And then you have things like Leica scale, which is kind of cool. So you can do a bit more like a survey, and you can set that up obviously by going to the field options. Actually, let me just click on this. There we go, and setting all your columns and rows and things like that. So the fancy fields are good. I won't go through each one, but they kind of do what you'd expect it to do. Nothing's too difficult to understand here. And then the next one is the payment fields. So what you can do is you can actually set up a form that allows you to receive payments. So let's just clear out these because it makes it look a little bit messy. There we go, looks a little bit more simple now. So if I come down and I choose one of my payments, imagine if I go for, let's go for checkbox items. What you're able to do is kind of like set up products in a way. Let's just click on that. So we say, right, the first item, imagine, oh no, that's a t-shirt. I think that needs a little hyphen there. And then the second one below is a jumper. And then the third one is a cap. So then you can give the price. Let's leave it at that, 10, 25, and 50. And so, let's show the price after labels. There we go. Great. So then what happens is if someone selects it, then it kind of gives you a total at the end, and then they can go ahead and pay for it. So if I just come down and click on total, then what happens is it adds kind of a field at the bottom that shows you what your total is. So I'm just going to leave that form as is for the moment because we're going to save it and have a look and see what it looks like. So that's my second step, which we had before. So comparing it with the Lite one, it's pretty much just giving you access to these extra fields, but then also things like conditional logic as well. So the third step is the settings. Now the settings are kind of the things obviously you can see on the left hand side are just more things available to you. So one of the ones that's useful is if you come down here. So this is in the general section. It says enable offline mode for the form. Now that doesn't show up in the Lite version. You don't have access to that. It's just not there. But what this means is if someone's entering in their form and they lose internet connection, it's able to kind of hold that data, and then the user can kind of click reload when their internet connection comes back again. So there's just a few more things like that that are really useful. And then also things like, conversational forms. There's plenty of videos about conversational forms. They are kind of cool. I do like that. Conversational forms, if I just select that checkbox, is where it kind of shows you like one question at a time and it fades in, and it's quite nice. I'll deselect that for the moment. But also you got things like, you can have password protect your forms, or you can create a page dedicated to your form, you don't have to kind of insert it into a page. You can kind of create its own dedicated page. So if I click that checkbox, enable form page mode, then here it gives me a link. And if I just click view, then what it's going to do is it's going to take me to a dedicated page. There's my URL. It's just Test Form Pro. And there it is. I've just got my form. Now, obviously, I need to do some styling around it, but I didn't have to embed it. I didn't have to copy the shortcode. It just gives me a link to a new page, and I can go from there. So while we're here, we'll just show you what I meant before. So if I click on T-shirt, my total is now 10. If I choose jumper, it's now 35, and then I can hit submit. So that's how the kind of payment stuff works. So that's the settings section. If I move on to marketing, all that's happened now is it just gives you access to more things. Now, these are all add-ons, so they don't just kind of show up when you buy the pro version. You have to kind of click on it, and then it says, are you sure you want to add this add-on? I mean, you can do that in the dashboard, but this is another way of doing it. You just click on the stuff that you want, and then you kind of add it in. Whereas we know that in the Lite version, the only thing I was able to use was the first option. Whereas in the pro version, we have access to all of these. Actually, I think there might be a couple that aren't still available. Yeah, Active Campaign and Salesforce aren't available in the pro version. You actually have to get I think it's the Elite version in order to get that. Okay, so the final one is payments. So here in the Lite version, there wasn't anything here. I couldn't do anything. Whereas in the pro version, I can access these. So for example, PayPal, what happens is you can kind of set up your PayPal details. You can do test, where is it? There is like a sandbox section, so you don't actually have to do it for real. Oh, there we go, mode production sandbox. So you can test this out before actually messing around with real money. But what it means is that if you set this up, then when you use your form and then someone hits submit, they will then be taken out to PayPal where they will have to enter their details, and then they get sent back to your site. So if you're using kind of payment stuff and selling things, then you obviously need to set up your PayPal or the kind of payment method that you're using. So I won't do that for the moment, but if you did enable it, then when you hit submit, it takes you out to PayPal. So that's the end of creating a form. And then at the end, it's exactly the same. You hit save, you can go and grab your shortcode, and then you can put it into a page. But what I've done is I made that form here that just shows each of those fancy fields. So, you know, if you've got a page break, then it obviously goes step 1 and step 2. And then that phone I was telling you about before, so if I try and type in a number, 888, and I type in more numbers, it's just going to put it in the US format because that's what I asked it to do. And so there's plenty of clever things like that. And then I also spoke about the signature. This is great. So I can kind of write Paul. I mean, that's terrible the way I've done it. But hey, there you go. It's kind of cool. I'm just using my trackpad. If I was using a mouse, I'm sure that would look a lot more beautiful. So there's nice things you can do in the pro version right there. But the pro version isn't limited to just those fancy fields and the payment things. There's also some other things it allows you to do as well, which I will show you now. So one of the things that you're able to do in the pro version is to see the entries. So in the pro version, on the left-hand side where it says WPForms, if I scroll down a bit, there's a section called entries. Now, if I'll open up the Lite version as well so you can see what happens. In the Lite version on entries, it just gives you a teaser and tells you what you can do, but you can't actually do it. But in the pro version, it shows you what you can do. So it tells you how many people are actually filling out your form. And then what you're able to do is to go into each form and see, you know, what entries there are, who's been completing it, and, you know, what answers they've been given. And then in the pro version, one of the things it shows you is kind of where the people are. It allows you to kind of access geolocation data, so you can kind of see where your users are that are actually filling out your forms. So it allows you to kind of see all the entries in the app, which is great. And so in terms of the pro version, there's also some other things as well, like you get pro support and things like that. So there's plenty of things in the pro version that you get that you don't get in the Lite version. And I'd say if you're using the Lite version already, then you might find that the pro version just allows you to do things that you kind of always hoped the Lite version would do, but you couldn't do it. Whereas if you haven't tried it before, you could just try the Lite version, see if it has everything you want, and then if you need to upgrade, then you can get the pro license. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Like or subscribe, and I will see you soon.